lot to unpack in this one. So we've talked about all the stuff with hard to beat a team twice in the same season, and then you start getting into they'll make this adjustment, but then in your brain you're like, well, they know that they're going to make that adjustment, so they need to make this adjustment instead, and it just becomes this whole like cat and mouse game of just chess and all that. So I don't really know. It's going to be interesting to see. I expect this to be kind of one of those, and we saw this, I think, with Georgia when they played Georgia Bama last year in the SEC championship. Both teams came out looking kind of scared, if I'm being honest. It was very tentative. Nobody wants to be that first one to make a mistake in the game. So I kind of get that sense about this game as well. I think both teams will be playing a little with some nerves in the beginning. Um, Obviously, a big story for game one between these two teams was Texas's inability to protect Quinn Ewers. And Georgia just feasted on the defensive line that day. Um, Obviously, I hope that that will be the case again this year. If or this game, if they are smart, though, they will probably game plan more for maybe some quick hitters, some things to get the ball out of Quinn Ewers' hand quick, and not give Georgia's defensive line the opportunity to make those kind of plays. But that's really just speculation on my part on what should or shouldn't be called. But I don't have the best feeling about this game, simply because obviously the law of averages. You play a team enough, they're gonna beat you. I believe Texas analyzes the tape and they figure out the areas that they need to work on. We've seen some issues with Georgia this year. Obviously, we've said that they've been a second half team. It would not surprise me for Georgia to go in a half here, down by a significant margin, much the same way they did against Tech. But with that said, I think Georgia probably mounts a little bit of a comeback in the second half, but maybe not like Georgia Bama where they take the lead and then lose it again. I think Georgia mounts a comeback but doesn't quite come back all the way. I'm going Texas with this one as much as it pains me to say. I'm going to go Texas in this one, 27-24. Jesse, what are your thoughts?
I think Georgia played an entire extra quarter of football this past weekend. That's going to make you quite tired. But I already talked about it. Georgia has to show up in the first half. If they don't, if they play like they've played so many times, not against Texas, but if they play like they did against Georgia Tech, I don't think they come back against a Texas team like they did against Tech, even though it took another whole football game to do it. I think Georgia, in order to win, would need to put together 4 full quarters. And you already mentioned it. It's very hard to beat a team twice. Alabama tried it with Georgia, and we just couldn't get it done. It's very, very hard. I think I think Texas is able to capitalize on Georgia's historical slow starts and they're able to get it done. I know there are injuries on both sides. I know that there are different concerns at quarterback. I mean, are you going to get the Carson Beck that started the season? Or are you going to get the Carson Beck that's played in the last few games? Is Quinn Ewers going to be okay? I I think this is going to be a very interesting game. I think it's going to look different than the first time you saw these teams match up. There's been a lot of growth this season for both teams, a lot of experience and a lot of wear and tear. So I have to pick the Longhorns in this one. Again, I think it's going to be a close one, but I think Georgia might trip themselves up with a slow start here. So I'm going to pick Texas 24-21.
All right, Matt, what you got?
I think you both have made good points. I think this is a game that's going to be. I think Texas can jump out early. I'm probably looking at 14 nothing, maybe 14-7 going into the half, and then in the second half of the game, Texas is going to pull away. Georgia will keep it close though. But I think Texas is going to find a way to win this thing. By the way, a friend of mine, if I can shout out my colleague Grayson Mullis, he's the band director at the school I work at. He told me this afternoon, and then he put this on Facebook. He said, "Conspiracy theory: sandbagging this year has been all part of Kirby's strategic plan. He's out here playing 4D chess while we're all playing checkers. Dogs by a million." I think Grayson makes a good point, and it's a good joke. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen, and I think Texas is going to find a way to win this ball game. I like Texas here 28-26. I think that Texas defense is just going to hold them to a couple field goals instead of touchdowns, and that's going to be the difference.